Welcome everybody to our monthly market update with Murdock Manwaring Company. And we are going to hit and talk about the stats and the market here in Southeast Idaho for the month of September 2023. So we're going to go through the hot topic right now is rates.
Let's talk about rates. We brought in Hunter Taylor from Patriot Mortgage. What is going on, Hunter?
Yeah, well, I think everyone knows that we're definitely in a high interest rate market right now. And, here at Patriot Mortgage, and what I'm trying to do is make sure that we find solutions to try to keep your rate down and monthly payment down. And not every one mortgage is the same. Everyone that I talk to, it's definitely a unique situation. People could have different financial goals, different things that they want to get to, but ultimately I think everyone wants a low payment and a low rate. And so we're trying to find that solution by doing a couple of unique things that I think we're really providing, these options that other banks aren't right now. And so some of those things are getting rates down to a 5.99% 30-year fixed rate mortgage. We locked in a couple people, believe it or not, last week at that rate, and I think there's more of that to come. And so those are the things that we're just trying to do is keep the rates down. I know that's the biggest issue and everyone's talking about it right now. So I'm personally trying to find solutions as to what we can do to keep those down. So if you want to talk to me about some of these different programs, definitely call me, reach out to me, because I think we can find a solution. And, like I was saying before, it's not a one size fits all. Everyone's situation is unique. And I'd love to find a solution for you and find out what we can do to get you into a home and create that homeownership goal for you. So,
man, that's awesome. Because that affordability has really changed. And I remember back in the early days of when, rates went up and they started coming up with these weird creative things that were kind of dangerous, the adjustable rates, minimum payments, negative amortization, you're not even covering. But what you're talking about is that you're able to provide a fixed rate for 30 years in the range that's under 6% if people qualify.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think we've learned from our past mistakes. We definitely don't want to get into adjustable. I think even that word makes some people cringe. They just don't like that. And so we're trying to find real solutions for people that, actually work, and they're long-term solutions. And so, yeah, that's a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. The range anywhere from 5.99 if you qualify to 6.125, somewhere in that range. And I think rates as of today are sitting mid sevens, believe it or not. And so we're trying to really cut down on the high rate, make sure that you can qualify for the home that you're wanting to get into. And so no adjustable, you don't have to qualify on anything but the rate that we would propose. So,
man, that's good.
Pretty interesting program.
Glad to hear there's some solutions out there, and you guys are coming up with some good options. So
absolutely, yep.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
No, I was just saying, would love to chat with anyone who has any questions about this, because I think it's a real concern, and we want to make sure that people's needs are getting met. So,
well, that's awesome. Let's talk about the rates and the impact that it's had on real estate, because they wanted to raise rates for a lot of reasons and to get inflation down, slow down the increase of price. And I think we're going to see and show you that it really is working. So we're going to look today at Bonneville, Jefferson, and Bingham counties, and we have a few slides for each of these that we'll cover. And let's talk about just the month of September compared to last year. There was 193 homes that sold. Last year there was 213. So we did see a slowdown, a 9% decrease year over year just for the month of September. And we'll get into the year to date. But Jessica, you must be fighting me on the slide deal here. What are we doing here, Jessica? There we go. Are you doing this? Okay, now we're going to talk about, okay, stop pushing the button. I'll push the button.
What's going on there?
Yeah, Jessica loves being in control, and I'm the button pusher right now. There is the 193, September of 2023, right? If we look January of 2023, we had this big dip when rates, really changed. There was a major slowdown. People started getting used to the rates being a little different. We're starting to see an uptick. Last month we had a pretty good month, but now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a slump there and a slowdown. And we had 193. This is an interesting piece. These are the homes that sold in the month of September. And if you look at the price ranges, the majority of the homes that sold, 282, were under 500,000. We did have 53 that sold that were over that, but the biggest chunk of that was up to 600. So if you're over 600, there is some time on the market you're going to spend. You better make sure your house competes. It's good quality. If you look at a price per square foot last year for that total average, we had $173 a foot. This year, we're at $171 a foot. So that is a 1.2% decrease. Year to date, that was just September that we were looking at. Year to date, we are seeing 1,751 homes that sold compared to last year at 1,971. So a decrease of 12%. So we are seeing a slowdown, but we're seeing a slight decrease in that number of homes of the decrease. We were ticking around 20%, 22%. Now we're just seeing a 12%.
Well, I think that really comes in from the fact that last year in 2022, at the beginning of the year, we were still at the high point. And so this year to date lumps that in for sure.
That's a good point. Let's move to the next one here. Here's the average price in the month of September. Last year we were at 439. This year we're at 416. So we're seeing a 5% decrease. The year to date is a little bit bigger decrease of 6%. Now that doesn't mean that your house went down in value. It just means the overall number of homes. If you remember how many homes sold under 600,000, that number is increasing, and over to help bring up the average is decreasing. And so I think we're pretty stable in prices, but we are seeing an overall decrease in the average price. And this is an interesting one. And Brian probably has a pretty dang good idea of why this is happening. But in the month of September last year, we saw a 92% original list to sell price. So if they were listed at 100, they only got 92,000. This year in September, if they were listed at 100, we got 96,000. And so we are seeing that increase, but it may not be exactly what you think it is. What does that mean, Brian?
Well, I mean, I think it means that we've adapted to the market and we found more consistency in the market. I remember last year, it just felt like every time we came up with a price, oh, it was wrong. It was hard to find that price, and it just kept moving. But this year, it's felt a lot more consistent on price. Price predictability is a lot easier, and so a lot of agents have found that as well, where a lot of homes are priced more correct this year than they were last year.
Yeah. In previous years, we didn't really expect 20, 30, 35% year over year increases. And so when it started to lower, it was hard to adjust for, well, what is it going to be? What can we expect, right? And so I think that's exactly right. We're getting closer on our original list price to what it will actually sell for. Here's year to date. Last year we were at almost 98%. We're at 96.3 this year, which is just a 1.5% decrease. Days on the
Jeremy,
market.
real quick
Yeah.
on that slide for the month of, what I thought is super interesting in September. If we remember last year, these are closed list to sell prices, right? So last year we had a big rate increase in the summer. So September's and October's, that's when we started to see those closings. And I think that's when we had that big tick up last year was down. And this year we're a little more adjusted to the rates, but our rates have gone up. So we might see that this same result in sold sales in December as a result in those big rate increases. Sellers want to get sold, and when a rate ticks up, then there's a little slowing.
Interesting time. One of the main leading indicators is how many days on the market do I have to sit before somebody buys my house, right? The longer we sit, it's telling us that the market isn't functioning right now the way we thought it would. Last year in September, we were at 53 days. This year, we're at 59 days. And so as we see these increases, it's only 11%, but a couple of years ago, we were only 20 days, 10 days. And so as it increases over time, we can see, hey, we're seeing the leading indicator push us to from a seller's market, maybe to a buyer's market. We had a discussion earlier about, well, what is a balanced market? We say somewhere between 5-6 months, but we know in 2010, that was a terrible market, buyer's market for sure, right? 2011, 2012. So that isn't 5 or 6 months, right? That's less. And so maybe a balanced market is less than 4 to 6 months of inventory.
Yeah, it sure felt. Oh, sorry,
ahead.
Jeremy. Sorry to cut you off. It sure felt like when we were talking about it this morning, it's like, well, 6 months is the equilibrium, and then we were looking at this and we go, what the heck? But there's no 180 days on this list, and that 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, those were different months, and those were definitely there's definitely a buyer's market in that, but the inventory doesn't reflect that. And so, I mean, these last few years, 33, 23, 34 average days on market, well, those were crazy sellers markets. So what is that line?
Yeah. What is the equilibrium? What is the market trying to get us to be balanced? That's the question. I mean, we're seeing stabilization for sure, but we're not seeing stagnation in the price ranges where things are really selling.
I think that really has a lot to do with how quick it happens. The faster that change happens, the harder it's felt. So that when you get to a balanced market, like when we saw things change from being 2 weeks of inventory to 3 months or 2 months of inventory, it felt like we had to swing to a buyer's market when we're still in a seller's market, but that speed really, sellers don't adjust as fast as buyers do.
Well, and also important to note that in those years, the inventory was a lot higher, just a lot higher. There were so many more houses for sale, and there's a lot less houses for sale right now. And so, which it feels like more, only because we went through craziness of COVID, but there's a lot less for sale right now, inventory wise, than there was.
Yeah, man, that is a good point.
Difference.
A lot of crazy factors that I don't think we've dealt with in the past. So it's a bit of a learning game. Here's the year to date though for these 3 counties. 4 days on market. Last year we were 27. So this year 59 on average, and that's an increase of 118%. So it really is a change, and we are feeling it, especially in that upper end over 600,000. This is a little more boiled down version of we took all the homes, and you're going to have some square footage that's higher in finish. We've got some acreage, some shops that all go into that average. But let's look at a house that has about 2,400 square feet, 2 to 3 car garage, basic lot, finished basement. The price that those are selling for in 2022 was $154 a foot. Excuse me, 149. This year we're at 154. So we are seeing an increase, right? Now the pending things that sold in September, and there's 19 right now, are they went off into pending at 156 bucks a foot. The interesting thing is that the actives, not sold, not pending, they're just currently active, are actually priced below on average than the sold or the pending. And so I don't know what that means. Anybody have any input on that?
Well, to give you a little bit of context, I mean, traditionally what we see is the active is the highest, and the pending is just a little bit below that, and sold traditionally is below that. But I mean, these numbers are out of order, so I don't know either, right?
Yeah. Is the rates, are they affecting things? Are we seeing the inventory push prices down? I think it's probably a combination of all of those things and not just one answer. It's just everything combined right now. We're seeing that the actives are sitting and they are priced where they should be selling, right? So if we got into each individual, go ahead, Hunter. Yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, I was going to mention rates. You know, it's interesting from a day-to-day perspective, from what I'm seeing, when rates tick down and the market is having a really good day, there's a lot more people willing to start an application and do an application even that day. People are willing to make an offer when they feel like the market is improving. And so I do think that, you know, over the last 14 days, especially, the rates have gone up dramatically. So I think that's a direct representation of what's gone on in the rate market right there. So yeah.
And as that rate goes up, our inventory builds a little bit, right? And so when inventory builds, I mean, this is a better slide of supply and demand than anything you can see. The lowest number got the all the prices. You start to look at that and you go, this is a really good example. And this slide's a really good example of what needs to be done for your house specifically to find the story of your house. What are houses like yours? What's this looking like? How, like right now, it looks like houses on the market are priced aggressively. If they're not moving, that means we're not priced as aggressively for this moment. And a sold, they may have gone into contract 1 to 2 months before. So they were in a different market than our current market. And so you've really got to analyze those. And that's why a really good full-time listing agent that comes in and talks about it. I mean, you got to get this specific, or you could be caught somewhere in that trap sitting on the market.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you know, if you look at what is actually happening, people find a home that they like, right? They see the price that they like. They go back and talk to the mortgage person that they're dealing with, you know, and we talk about payment. Now, if we have a really good day and the rate that day is good, and I'm quoting a mortgage payment that works for those guys, and they're going to go back and they're going to probably make an offer on that home, maybe a little bit more aggressive depending on how they're feeling about it. But if the rate's bad, then they're going to go back to the home and say, well, we need to drop the price because my payment needs to be here instead of here. And so it really is a month to month thing right now because of the volatility with the rates. It's just super interesting to see that. So, you know, just to give you a perspective of what that actually looks like in application of finding a home, back to mortgage, and vice versa in some regards.
So interesting. Yeah. And so at least we know this, right? And these are the indicators that we know what's happening. So let's get into the snapshot of the month here. That is this where you're taking over, Jess?
That's taken over. So let's take a look at September. So this is where we get, instead of looking back in a month, let's talk about what's going on right now, the snapshot. So we had 445 homes that actually came on the market. That is 11% less than came on the market in August. So we're seeing the inventory not flooding in, and we always see that in the fall. Their average list price was $446. The original list to sold. So if they came on the market in September and sold, they were at 98.3. So that means if you were priced well, you weren't coming all the way down to that 96. You can price and sell in the same month. We had 203 homes that went pending. Now, when that pending number is lower than the homes that came on the market, we are building inventory. So that's really, really a good sign that we might get. But that's almost 20% from what went pending in August. So we had less homes, 20% less homes go pending than went pending in August. Then we also had a tick up in fall aparts. So how many houses were pending and came back on the market? That's ticked up. I think that's an interest rate issue. That's a financing issue. If your financing falls apart and you can't qualify, those babies fall apart and come back on the market. This just gives us an idea over time, how does it look on the number of listings that come on the market? So if you take a look at September and glance all the way over to the average, on average, we were having about 284 homes coming on the market. We're at 245. If you look back over the years, we've been trending downward. So this is the lowest month in the last 5-6 years that we've had in inventory. And you can kind of see that trend over time, which is interesting to know. But how's our inventory building? And again, we're still tightening inventory. We had 42 homes actually withdraw from the market, which means they were on the market and they said, we give up the ghost. We're not getting what we want. We're not doing it. We're out. And so the average days on market for those homes was 127 days. So the average on the market of sold were 50 days on market. After 127, these guys said, that's it, we throw in the towel. But their average price was $555. So you'll see it's a higher price point that's finding out that market's a little too slow for them, and $196 per square foot. So either they're the higher end houses or they're overpricing. And so they're just saying, nope, what I want, I'm not getting. And their actual, when they finally withdrew, was about 95% of their original list price. They've come down about 5% and said, I'm not coming down any further. So super interesting. Let's talk about the inventory. What's going on with houses on the market right now? So currently in our 3 counties, we've got 543 homes on the market, which is a tick up from last month. We built a little bit of inventory. We're up from 529. The average days on market on those homes currently on the market right now are 73. Cumulative means they went pending and came off the market. They're back on. So cumulatively, our average days on market is 93. So you can see we've got some fall apart going on inside of there. Right now, they're sitting about 97% of what they currently listed for. So on average over the market, the ones on the market have come down about 3% and are still sitting on the market at an average price per square foot of $193. When we take a look at the breakdown, you'll see where that average price per square foot, where we're getting that from. That gives us 2.8 months of inventory. So if no more homes came on the market, as of today, how long would it take for us to sell out of our inventory? 2.8 months. We've talked a lot about that balanced market. That's still a strong seller's market. If you look at it as an overview.
Back 2 slides ago, it talked about the amount of homes coming on the market. And then it talks about cumulative days on market, which talks about going off the market. One more slide before. Doesn't matter. That's okay. So cumulative days on the market, when you have a realtor working for you, even if you are not quite ready to buy a house, or let's say one fell apart, you put in an offer, they didn't accept it. You put it in, they still had it listed high and they said, no, we're not going to take your lower offer. Having a full-time realtor working for you, they're watching for those homes to come back on. They're watching what the prices are doing, and they can see, those ones that maybe you missed out on. It might be a good time with the new ones coming on the market at a lower rate. It may be a good time to hop back in and say, you know what, I didn't think I'd be able to buy a home this year, but maybe I need to get back on the wagon. So, call your buyer's agent, call us and say, hey, I know you guys are watching the market, and I think maybe now be the time to pull the trigger. I think we have a little sweet spot right here where prices have dipped just a bit low, and we've got some extra inventory, which means prices are going to stay a little bit low for a little bit.
Great point, Nicole. Yeah.
Yep. So let's look at the breakdown. How does this average price on the market look? Well, this is where it all comes from. These are all the homes on the market in our 3 counties. Let's look at the heavy. This is called top heavy. I was going to make a joke that was inappropriate, but I will not. So this, if you take a look, most of our inventory, look at that above $500,000. So we've got that heavy inventory. Now we do still have a solid 305 under $500,000, but that heavy inventory up at the top, look at the average days on market. We've got a lot of inventory up there at the higher end of our price point. Now, this is something that's super interesting to me. Let's take a look at what sold. So if you take a look at that chart on the right, that's the sold in September. The chart on the left is the actual inventory right now. So if we look at the first under $500,000, we have 1.1 months of inventory. So that is a very severe seller's market, which means sellers are really probably getting their money. But you move right up between, whoops, where's my thunder is being stolen because I put my bubbles out of order. Sorry about that. So from 500 to 700, we have 3.5 months of inventory. So feeling a little more balanced inside of there. Soon as you hit that 700 to a million, now you're at 5 months of inventory and then 15 months of inventory if you're over $1 million.
Yeah.
That is right there. When we look at those days of market, that is right. A really good comparison of how is my home personally going to sell? Look at those. Am I in a seller's market or a buyer's market? So
And
really good.
and as we talked about before, maybe 3.5 months is balanced.
It might be. It feels like it.
Just be ready, you know, be
Yeah.
ready for anything.
And 5.1 may feel like a buyer's market.
Yeah.
That may feel very buyer's markety for sure, for sure. So let's look at our current pendings. What are under contract right now in the market? We have 252 homes under contract in our 3 counties at an average price of $433, very close to that average sold price. The original price to what they were currently listed at when they received an offer was about 96.8, and that average price per square foot was 176. And then they were on average about 60 days on market. So we'll see what happens when the final numbers come out, but that's what the pendings we're looking at. So let's take a quick snapshot of just Idaho Falls. We've been looking at the 3 counties, but what's going on just in Idaho Falls within the boundaries of our 5 Idaho Falls high schools? The homes sold in September are 141. That's down about 14% from last month. Our average days on market is 57 days. And the original list price to the final sold price was 96%. The homes on the market right now are 309. We're up 4% in inventory. The average days on market for those homes is 84 days right now. And the original list price versus the current list price, they're about 97% at a 2.1, almost 2.2%, 2.2 months of inventory in Idaho Falls. So pretty good, still pretty good going on in Idaho Falls if you're looking within those boundaries. So that's the update. That's the market going on in Southeast Idaho. Thanks
Can't
for
wait
joining
for
us.
October. It's
know.
been crazy.
It's going to be
we're
these numbers.
flowing with the
nuts.
rates or going with Hunter and fighting against the rates. So
That's right. That's right. Always with a professional. Give us a call. We'd love to talk about your specific situation and be able to provide you solutions specifically for you. Still a good time to buy, still a good time to sell. We want to help you get into a house. So, and if you want to receive all of this in your email each month, please go to mmcidaho.com and click on the newsletter at the top, and we can get you in and you'll get these with the slides in your email every month.
nice. Any last words from the rest of the
Final
team?
thoughts. All right. Silence is deafening. Appreciate you guys.
Silence is golden.
It's golden. Oh, deafening golden. That's right. Perfect. All right. Thanks,
See you
everybody. Hope
next
to see you
month.
next month.